All right, everybody, welcome back to episode 18 of Sports with Skiz with myself, my boy Tanaka. And today we have a very, very special guest, our boy Jesaiah Wilson, Waz, big Penn State fan. We had to have him on for this show. So, what's up, Waz? How we doing?
Hey boys, how you doing, man? Hey, first and foremost, I probably couldn't be a bigger fan of what you guys are doing. So, I had to hop on, get to talk with the boys, man. That's one of my favorite things to do. We're gonna let it fly a little bit. We'll keep it professional, but we'll let it fly. Just three bros
Yeah.
talking. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I forgot to mention as well too. Waz does a lot of production in the Pittsburgh area. Waz, if you want to jump into that real quick before we get kicked off here.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mike. I'll just keep it quick, not to promote myself too much, but I started with my other coworker. His name is Darren Zaslow. I started putting together what you guys see like for Barstool or even the Pat McAfee show. We want to do that at a Yinzer level that actually touches. Not just we talk to kids like Kimon Spell, who is now a
Mm,
decommitted Penn State fan, hurts my soul. But a kid who is the number one running back in the country is really literally in our back door or in our backyard. So, it's awesome to have that type of connection. The Whippeal, I won't say anything else other than I think the Whippeal is the most competitive high school conference in the nation. Don't care.
hmm
Texas, California, Florida, you guys can come send me your tape. I don't care. Whippeal's better. But we just want to put that stuff together. It's time to start taking the high school level just as seriously as they do in college and football. And I'm sure with the level that I've seen not talk about with NIL and all that stuff, hey, you got to treat this like a business. So if they're going to treat it like a business, we're going to treat it like a business on our end and give these kids the exposure they either deserve or don't. But look, when money comes, money's either going to talk or it's going to shut you up.
hmm
So
No.
our handle there is Fox53 underscore 22 the point. And then also I do all of my own stuff. I have my own production place. I'm gonna talk about that a lot less because I want to push the Whippeal stuff a little more. But I do all of my own personal stuff on my J Wilson Productions. You on Instagram. All of this is on Instagram, by the way. Follow me on there. I do again more personal stuff, more of my freelance business, and then even this will probably be on my Jay Wilson's Productions. So future me, have fun editing this.
Love it.
Think what you got going on there is a really, really brilliant idea, and I'll tell you why. Just a few months back, even myself, I was kind of looking at this NIL thing, and I'm like, can I be an agent? Is there any possible way I can ink like some high schooler? Because I'm taking a look, dude. It's plausible because there are high school women basketball players who are getting Adidas sponsorships and they're juniors. Okay, so this
hmm
very plausible thing that you're trying to do here, bro. You're in, like you said, a phenomenal area football wise for it. Pennsylvania football, in my opinion, is the best in the country. We've got the most Hall of Famers, and I think that speaks volumes. So,
Hmm.
bro, you got it. You got
I
it.
appreciate
Yeah.
that. I appreciate that.
Yeah. It's
Just a quick anecdote. We did a promo with all the top players, and Keemon Spell, who we already mentioned, he came in with an agent. The boy is a junior.
mm.
He was a sophomore going into his junior year. He has an agent, a full-fledged agent that came with him. I was talking to a grown man like, "You're not Keemon Spell." He's like, "No, I'm his agent." I was like, "This boy is 16."
Yeah.
So like, hey,
It's
it's money talks, man.
yeah,
That's it. And this is you got we can't this isn't our high school 10 years ago where we're trying to get on, I don't even know if RMG Sports is around still, but we get they see us on the 6 a.m. stuff, no disrespect to them. They were ahead of their
yeah.
time. You know what I mean? But it's time to take that to another level. And honestly, if they are still around, they heavily inspire a lot of the stuff I do. So, hey, shout out to RMG Sports if they're still around.
Yeah, that's a classic. They did actually just re-up their YouTube, so they got all of
Oh,
our
yeah.
old stuff
Okay.
on there. So you got to
Okay.
check it
Okay.
out.
I'm gonna
But
have to go
y-
watch it.
yeah, it is interesting too, the NIL stuff in high school. I don't think you need to be like to be an agent in like the NFL. You have to have a background within like law. For
Hmm.
NIL, I don't think you have to have
Hmm.
any background within anything, to be honest with you. So
Yeah.
if it is a passion that you're looking to get into, it's very simple,
Yeah.
but it's a dog eat dog world out there as well
Hmm.
too. So
Very true.
with that being said, we're going to jump into our week 7 football recap. It's kind of crazy. It's already week 7, but was we brought you on here for a special reason. I didn't quite think that it was going to go this way, but Penn State loses 3 in a row. Another, 20-point favorite against Northwestern at home. James Franklin gets the can. You already mentioned it. They're having decommit after decommit right now. How are we feeling? What's going on? What happened over there?
First, listen. Franklin didn't succeed. We there's levels to Division 1 football. We all know that. You know what I mean? Some people are just looking to bring talent in while others are going for national championships. And we knew after the Notre Dame semifinals last year that it was championship or bust. So for them to come in and lose 2 games where they were 20-point favorites, it was inevitable. Franklin had to go. I still put it up there in his tenure, one of the top 3 greatest I'm sorry, recruiting coaches around. He was a great recruiting coach. I think I put him only behind right now is obviously Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, who were just ridiculous. But in terms of preparation and game plan, I mean, he was mid at best. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it was Vanderbilt. There was a reason why he didn't stick around in Vanderbilt, is all I'll say. Is, you know what I mean? In Vanderbilt now, hey, I was gonna come on here and say, hey, I know in his clause he has to find a new job to get his full 53 million or whatever it is. Vanderbilt's not gonna take him. They're good. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Like Vanderbilt's good. They don't need recruiting. Their recruiting is that they're always the underdog and they're punching. But to get back on track with Penn State, the last 3 games, the only consistent heartbeat we had was Katron Allen. I think Katron Allen has been amazing this season, despite all the adversity on offense. I think you're starting to see a lot of mediocrity out of Andy Kolnicki. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't think you'll see him in taking that head coach position. I honestly, even right now, I don't have all the Indiana's coaching staff up, but if I'm any team looking to rebuild, that's the first place I'm looking is Indiana's coaching staff because what they're doing down there, oh man, you know what I mean? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
basketball school, by the way. And well, at one point, basketball school, by the way, and now look at them. It's sad to see. Obviously, it's sad to see Drew Aller go out in the way that he did. And you guys know, just hear me talk. I was a firm believer in Drew Aller. Drew Heisman was what I believed in full-heartedly, and he just. I don't know, man. Not to speak on him post injury, but I think he just gets in his head a little too much, and scouts are going to see that. I mean, he'll get put on an NFL team somewhere, and I think he'll have a better opportunity to prosper over Sean Clifford. I'm sorry, yeah, Sean Clifford did. But I just don't think he's gonna. You'll see him back up a few people. Maybe I'm getting a little too ahead in the future, but I just he's in his own way. You know what I mean? He's just
Mm-hmm.
mentally in his own way, and I'm just. I wanted him to take that next step from last year to this year, and he's still in that same place. So, speedy recovery to him. Don't wish any bad injuries, and I hope he has a great football career wherever he ends up. But in terms of my belief in him, hey man, hats off to you. I'll see you in April if you come to Pittsburgh.
No, absolutely. Well said. Well said. Knock, what about you? I know you're a Penn State fan as well too.
I was thanking the Lord and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ again. Yeah, I can't do it enough. This is a great day. I'm super happy. I'm excited. I'm a guy who looks forward to things like rebuild. I'm a guy who understands that Penn State's going to get the recruits regardless. And in this current moment, they've got a few big names, and they're kind of dropping like flies. But that's okay. Coming into the off season, going into next year and next off season, it's not going to happen right away. You know what I mean? Penn State is a prominent program in Division 1 college football. They hold a rich tradition and culture that's just unmatched, and it will be back. You know what I mean? Penn State is here; they are solidified. But with that being said, thank you, God, one more time for firing James Franklin. It wasn't under. People need to understand this. You know, multiple 10-win seasons, 12-win seasons. He's won Rose Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Sugar Bowl. The guy never beat Ohio State. The guy couldn't beat Michigan. And that matters. That matters when you're a team like Penn State, dude. He should have been gone, quite frankly, 2 or 3 years ago. Too many 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 situations over the years where it's just like, hey, let's just run a dive up the middle, man. No, nothing creative. And I understand there's an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator for a reason. Both of those guys should be fired for Penn State as well. But yeah, man, I'm happy. I'm looking forward to this rebuild. One guy that I feel like we need to highlight for Penn State a little bit so far this year, who's been great, Devontae Ross. He's the only wide receiver who can consistently do anything. Trevor Pena, dude, sometimes you need to stay where you're at. You need to stay where you're at. If you're not doing poorly, you don't need to change your scenery. Trevor Pena was a second or third round talent coming into the season this year, and his draft stock is slowly, no, maybe even quicker than I think, is depreciating in value. You know what I mean? So when you're a transfer like that, sometimes you just got to stay put, man. You were doing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Penn State has a lot of fixing they need to do, and I'm looking forward to that. So, they might not be up for the next year or two, but that's all right. It'll be cool.
Yeah. I think they'll land back on their feet. I will say one thing that was crazy to me. I saw a stat that James Franklin is the first coach to lose back-to-back games as 20 or more point favorites in the history of college football, which is nuts. But to highlight kind of like what you guys are saying, there's about 4 or 5 key recruits I saw that decommitted. Davion Brown is one of them. LeVar Keys, obviously, Keeman Spell, who you talked about, and then Leighton Vaughn Brand, I believe, as well, too. So a mix of a couple 2027s, 2026s. It's going to be interesting to see. I think Penn State does have that big donor money, so it will be easier now in the NIL group to bring recruits in rather than just having, a salesman like James Franklin was. As much as I don't like him, that was his best game, like you said as well. He wasn't the greatest X's and O's coach, but he was one of the best recruiters out there and could basically, sell a car to a manufacturer that's already made. So it'll be interesting to see. Was anything else that you wanted to point out about it? I do believe, like you said, Andy Kolnicki, get him out of there as well too. What is he doing? Just all of the key pieces that you brought back. I know I've said it many, many times, but just when you have 2 running backs that come back for 1,000 yards, you go out there and you get 3 receivers that are total upgrades from last year, and you still can't throw the ball for, over 200 yards, and same 5 linemen, and you're running for, 2 yards a clip. And it's frustrating to me. And I'm not even a Penn State fan, watching some of that. They're just too talented to go out the way that they've been.
Exactly. So shout out to Knox, Indianapolis Colts, man. They got that boy Tyler Warren, who was the offense last year. You know what I mean? He's a dog, certified dog. That man, Tyler Warren. Wait, that's a different conversation, man. Shout out Tyler Warren. Shout out the Indianapolis Colts for picking him up. That was a great pickup. But he was the offense last year, and you saw that. Like, there was glimpses of, obviously, I think Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, before preseason, was the best running back duo in the nation. Katron Allen, his stock is rising. You know what I mean? Even during these rough times, he is a hard runner, and I can see him in the black and gold next year, if I'm being honest. Nick Singleton, I think he could have. We'll see how the season goes on, man. We're there. I really like Nick Singleton, but Katron Allen, he is my rising star. He is my only star on the offensive side. Right. Defensively, we look like total and absolute, I'm gonna swear, fucking shit. This is bad. I've never seen, like, I'm not saying that Penn State and the Steelers are the same, but one of the biggest things that attracted me to Penn State is that they're always just a strong defensive team. And obviously, the Steelers have always been that way. It's synonymous for me. It's night and day. As Pittsburgh, as we get on with the NFL, Pittsburgh's defense is looking great. Penn State, worse and worse and worse. And, shout out to Northwestern. Shout out to UCLA. UCLA, you've seen, is getting their footing, and I'm sure we'll get into that as we go on. UCLA is getting their footing offensively. That young, his young coach is I'm sorry, their young offensive coordinator is
Jerry.
Jerry, there you go. Looks amazing right now. But this is Penn State. It's like that. It's for some people, like, that's it sounds like I'm gassing it, or it's hyped up. There is a tradition and a culture here that makes sense when you say this is Penn State. You know what I mean? Like, we don't accept, hey, UCLA has this upcoming offensive coordinator that is just great. We're Penn State. Like, it's and that whole mantra is gone. So as Knox says, we're on rebuild. You have to look at the rest of this year as what can we do to salvage what we have, because we're losing we're going to lose a lot of seniors this year, and some of them super seniors. And what are we going to do so that we can get back to that mantra of we are Penn State, that we are means something, and you got to get back to that.
Real quick, Mike, before you hop in, I just want to highlight Drew Aller real quick. We were talking about him earlier. It's really more so of a scouting thing. Drew Aller, like we said, we don't want to see anybody get hurt. That sucks. He's just a kid.
Yeah.
Playing football, doing what he loves, and that's awesome, bro. You know what I mean? I hope that he does come back stronger, better, if he stays, if he transfers, if he goes pro, whatever the case may be. Super nice kid, by the way. I've watched a few of his interviews. He's super polite. I mean, he's got a good head on his shoulder. But I'm sorry. Scouts, we have to do better. We got to do better. Just because a kid is 6'5" doesn't mean he's going to be a 5-star recruit. In 3 years, I've seen absolutely zero from Drew Aller. You know what I mean? Just nothing. Like literally nothing other than that one throw to Devontae Ross against Oregon. That was the best throw he's had in 3 years. I hope if he goes somewhere else, he can go to a university or a program where they actually allow him to throw the ball and put a little bit of faith in him. And where he's also not in as many big pressure situations as well.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, it does suck to see that. I mean, again, I'm not a Penn State fan, but Drew Aller has meant a lot to that program. He's faced a lot of adversity. It seems like it sucks that he just can't shake that big game. It seems like he's always throwing like a costly interception or something, but speedy recovery to him. We will stop beating the hell out of Penn State for now. Please. I do have a stat we'll probably come back to later, but we'll jump in. Waz, you mentioned it with Indiana. Boy, what a big game from the Indiana Hoosiers walking into Eugene, Oregon, ended the nation's longest win streak at 18 games, crushing Dan Landing's dreams, beating them 30-20. Wow, that they look good. They surprised me. Like their defense came out ready to play. Fernando Mendoza, I mean, he didn't light the world on fire. He did have one interception. I thought he played a really, really good game. He made the throws that he had to, but that Indiana defense, wow, it made like Dante Moore didn't know what to do out there, which is crazy. We saw him make big play after big play against Penn State in the whiteout. He was, one of the front runners in the Heisman, and he looked very juvenile against a very, very strong Indiana team who, like you said, is a basketball school. Let's not forget, Indiana has a ton of money. So if their basketball team ain't shit, it's going directly to football and Curt Cignetti with turning that program around. But again, Curt Cignetti shuts up the haters. Not only does he beat the hell out of Illinois a couple weeks ago, he walks into Eugene and he embarrasses them in front of that whole fan base. So that was crazy to me. I think a name that might be on a little bit of a watch list. Knock, I talked to you about him, but Shanahan, their offensive coordinator, I think he does really, really good. He's very young, played at Pitt as a wide receiver, coached at IUP, shout out to PSAC for a little bit, and then followed Cignetti to JMU after Elon, and now is the OC at Indiana. So what do you guys got from this game?
Waz, you can go ahead, bro.
All right. Oh, so the first thing that stands out to me, like I said, whoever is on, unless Cignetti gets together with his coaching and staff and says, please, some of these coaches are going to be coaching Power 4 schools next year. And I say that because the biggest and blaring thing is you're going into Eugene as an underdog, 33 minutes of possession offensively. 33 minutes. You over half the game, you had the ball in your hands. That's nothing but coaching. How else do you want to put it? And the box score, yeah, they put 30 points up. 12 of those came from special teams. You know what I mean? So like it's still a fact that they're not a lights out offensive group. I mean, Fernando Mendoza had 215, good yardage. He also had a pick and he had a touchdown, with an 88 passer rating. I'm sorry, a QBR. So I'm honestly, they have a great, they click together. They have great chemistry. It's as I keep bringing them up, it's what Penn State thought they were going to be coming back, and they were not. This Indiana team came back and they're stronger. And as you said, that defense, man, 6 sacks against Oregon, in Eugene, 2 interceptions. Come on, man. It's nothing but having your team ready and honestly executing and coming back and actually having a purpose. And I don't want to tie this all into what Penn State isn't doing, but it's the bar now. Like it's you came back to do all of this stuff and you're not. Indiana came back with most of their team. They have some young players on their team, but they came back with a quarterback with a vengeance. You came back with a defense that played Notre Dame last year and was this close to it being a Penn State Indiana semifinal. So they came back and they were hungry, like starving. And that is great. That's why I love Indiana. Like we said, basketball school, by the way. These dudes are fucking hungry, and I love it. So yeah, like I said, see, this team is going. You're going to see a lot of this coaching staff branching out to a lot of different schools at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I want to highlight real quick somebody that's always going to fly under the radar when you have a quarterback like Mendoza for Indiana, and it's running back Roman Hemby. 19 carries, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. The guy played at Maryland for 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 4, from like 21 to 24. So it depends on how you count that last year in there. But 3 to 4 years at Maryland. Guys got over 2,000 all-purpose yards in college coming into the season, 420 yards on the ground. I feel like that was a major, major factor playing against Oregon. And like you guys stated, both you each stated, their defense was outstanding. 6 sacks from that front 7. So yeah, they had Dante Moore in hell. Another guy I want to highlight, this is a guaranteed bona fide starter in the NFL, Elijah Surratt. This kid is a beast. I mean, it's every single week he's going on. You can't man him up. He kills in zone. So like 8 catches, $121 on 11 targets. 11 targets. 13, excuse me. Nobody's even getting targets close. This guy is a monster. He's got a big frame. He's fast. Elijah Surratt, I can see this kid getting picked within the first 2 rounds next year.
Yeah, and Elijah Surratt too. It's always fun. He's by way of St. Francis, PA Flash. He was there his freshman year, then followed Signetti, went to JMU, and then followed him to Indiana. So that's a cool little story. One thing too, the defensive coordinator, I want to give him some shine. Bryant Hayes for Indiana. I could definitely see him, Waz, is what you said, finding a job next year as a head coach somewhere. One last thing to highlight that defense. They held Oregon. Oregon went 3 of 14 on third downs. And realistically, Indiana only gave up 13 points to Oregon because they had a pick 6 taken back to the crib. So they just held it down. I couldn't believe how just lost Oregon looked, as a group offensively. So shout out to Indiana. They have, they look like they have a clear path. They were voted, they had number 1 ranking votes in the AP, I believe the first time since 1964. And then they had multiple votes for first place for the first time since 1945, which is fucking crazy to think about. But they have a pretty easy schedule ahead. I mean, their hardest one, not really sure how it's looking right now, is going to be at Penn State in a couple of weeks. So they basically much control their own destiny if they want to head up to Indy. Well, I guess up. I don't know really where it's at, but Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship there. So that'll be interesting to see. Another game that I wanted to jump over to was, I don't remember if I gave you this one, but it's showing up close here on my schedule, so I wanted to talk about it a little bit. But the Red River rivalry, Oklahoma and Texas. Texas upsets Oklahoma 23-6. Knock, if you want to start off with this, feel free to go ahead and do so.
Yeah, Arch Manning was due, you know what I mean? But I kind of hate the fact that John Mateer on the other end just wasn't 100%. You know what I mean? They threw him out there. It was a game where, Oklahoma is doing so well. You kind of have to, but I feel like they might have forced it a little bit. He goes out, he throws 2 interceptions, just a little over 100 yards. And, Texas kind of dominated from start to finish. They had that punt return that really sealed the deal there for them at the end of the game. And it's not like Arch Manning did anything spectacular for the Longhorns, but they did what they needed to do. One thing I'm consistently impressed with is Arch running the football. He doesn't have to run for a lot of yards, but his moxie when he does it, his attitude, his aggressiveness when he does carry the football, even if it's just for 2 or 3 yards, believe me, I can see, as far as a Manning goes, like I can see like, oh, wow, this guy can run the ball a little bit. You know what I mean? like seeing that. Again, we've talked about Arch Manning and his ups and downs, the scrutiny that comes behind it. You got to talk shit to a kid that's getting paid, but he's a good kid, and I don't want to shit on him, not yet anyway. So, Arch Manning, that was a big win. I expected Texas to win at home. So they sealed the deal. They did what they needed to do.
Yeah, and go off on that. I think if you look at the previous week against Florida, I think they put a lot of pressure on him. But not Florida, but the coaching staff. They wanted him to be Peyton. They wanted him to be Eli. And I think after that game, they kind of realized, and you can see it from the stats. I mean, he still threw 27 pass attempts, but you gave Quintrevion, is that his name?
Yeah.
Quintrevion
Yep.
Wisner. You gave him 22 carries. You know what I mean? Like that's a big difference. I think he had 7 last week. So like you took the ball out of his hands because at the end of the day, he's a sophomore. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Yes, his name's Manning. Yes, he played great in tech whenever he was in high school. Yes, he was, he's the next coming of Jesus. If you want if you want to be that dramatic. He's a sophomore. Let the boy be a sophomore. And I think this was a great way to do that. I mean, they're no slouches, you know what I mean? Hey, at this point, number 6. So they're very it was a great way for the coaching staff to look at the hype of Arch Manning and say, "Hey, we got to wrangle this in, and we have to win football games." And that's exactly what they did. Just as Indiana did in Oregon, Texas controlled the ball. I think it wasn't much. I think it was only by like a minute or something, but their time of possession much better than Oklahoma's. I say much. It was better than Oklahoma's, which was enough to win. And if you control the time of possession, and if you control the turnover game, you're gonna win football games in all 3 levels, all 4 levels. If you go to middle school, high school, college, NFL, you're gonna win football games. And I think this was obviously great booster for Arch Manning, but this was a great way for the coaching staff to wrangle in the hype that is Arch Manning.
Yeah, for sure. And to piggyback like off of what you said, him being just, a sophomore, I think I talked about it last week, Knock, but I saw a clip going back to SEC Media Day and they asked Arch about his preseason Heisman odds. And he was like, I mean, I've only played in 3 games. I don't know who makes these stats up, but I just don't get it. So he even knows, they were putting a ton of pressure on him without him having a lot of experience. And it was good that they finally took the ball majority out of his hand. I thought that that's how Steve Sarkisian was going to attack this year with him, especially with him being able to run. I thought there was going to be a lot more RPOs, a lot more read option plays. And instead, it looks like they want him to try to be a pocket passer at times. And I honestly, even though they spent a lot of money on that offensive line, I don't think they're that great. So he doesn't have that much time as well, too, to stand in the pocket and deliver throws. So I still saw him miss on a couple of throws I think he should have had. But at the end of the day, this Oklahoma defense is ranked damn near top 10 in every category. And he still had a very, very productive game, which is awesome. And I think is only going to add confidence to him as they continue to gear up for the grind of the SEC schedule there. So you guys have anything else before we move on from this game?
Yeah, just real quick, 6 incompletions, 21 to 27. That's pretty solid. Waz hit it on the nail there. It's just like they set up the run to throw the football. That's very common. It's basic, like you said. That's how you win on all 4 levels. Um, I think Texas needs to go out and potentially find themselves a wide receiver this offseason because these guys cannot get open. I mean, they can create any kind of separation. They are no kind of fast. Travion or no, I'm sorry. Wingo. What's
Wingo. Yeah.
Wingo?
Trey Wingo? Is that what? No, it's not Trey Wingo.
Ryan Wingo.
Wingo, dude. What's going on, bro? Like you coming into the season, you were supposed to be that guy. Like you were the number one, dude. I mean, you're struggling to go for 30 and 50 yards a game. It cannot create any kind of separation. I don't know if these kids don't run routes. I don't know if the route combinations aren't working. I have no idea what's going on. But like these Texas receivers are severely struggling, and it's not helping Arch Manning out either. You got that.
Yeah. Well put. They do need to draw up something. And again, I've spoken about it a couple of times when I'm just disappointed in how Steve Sarkisian's offense looks this year. I think he's a lot better than some of the stuff that he's drawing up. But I don't know if it's growing pains from a new quarterback, but I don't know. I thought it would be able to help him. He's a lot more mobile than what Quinn Ewers was last year that could open up the game a little bit more. So with that, we will move on to another great game from the weekend. I know I had fun watching this one, but Alabama beats Missouri at Missouri 27-24. This game was very, very good. Alabama kind of pulled away in the end. Missouri scored a late touchdown to bring it in to a lot closer than what it kind of was. But I know I had a lot of fun with this game. Do you guys have anything from this one?
Yeah, you're just making it hard not to bring up Penn State, man. My boy Bo. I love Bo, man. Bo Prabula is my guy. It hurt me whenever he left before the college, but he's doing his thing down in Missouri. Yeah, he threw two interceptions. Yes, he had a 75-8 QBR. He also did what he was wanted to do in Penn State. He gets to run the ball. 11 carries, 61 yards, and a touchdown against Alabama. Look,
Mm-hmm.
Alabama's not this isn't Nick Saban's Alabama. We all know that. But Alabama is still Alabama. And you see it. You see it game in and game out. A big not to try and get away from the Penn State relations of all this. The winning team, Alabama. I think Ty Simpson, I think people wanted him to be good. Obviously, he's an Alabama quarterback. And in the beginning of the year, he was eh. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything that stuck. And even this game with a 77 QBR, he threw for three touchdowns and 200 yards. That's a great game
Mm-hmm.
against a Missouri team that people are counting out or counted
Mm-hmm.
out before the season started. And then obviously, I think someone who is a top 32 pick overall. Let me rephrase this. He's a top 32 overall draft pick in the upcoming year. I think Jam Miller's only a junior if I remember right, or is he a
Mm-hmm.
senior?
I believe he's a
In
junior.
his class, I want to clarify that in his class, Jam Miller, a great running back, one of the better running backs you're going to see out of Alabama in a minute, and that is saying something. I like Jam Miller. I like his ability to not only be effective in the run game, but something that's uncommon for Alabama running backs is he's effective in the pass game as well.
Mm-hmm.
Even though last it was only four receptions for 25 yards, those were very important 25 yards, and it's not common from a running back in Alabama. I love that sort. Like I said, this isn't Nick Saban's Alabama anymore, and I think that where people not only are we starting to see that, but the coaching staff is starting to come to that realization that hey, Nick Saban's not here anymore. We have to play Alabama. We have to play do this organization how we want to do it. Great win to Alabama. I miss my boy Bo.
Mm-hmm. We love that. Yeah, we talk about Bo a lot on here too. I think he's a dog. He did have the two interceptions. One was kind of like a miscalculation. He threw it and the wide receiver turned around a little bit too late, couldn't get to the ball. So I don't know if I necessarily blame him for that one. I love seeing him in the run game. He loves to run through defenders as well too. He's not someone who's going to slide, which is nice. And then talking about Ty Simpson, yeah, this was his lowest total passing yard wise with 200. It's kind of weird. He matched his exact completions and attempts from the last week's game against Vandy, but he threw for 140 more. And he's just been great all year. I mean, they had obviously the bad game against Florida State, but they also had him throw the ball 43 times. I don't think they could really establish anything. He's caught a groove. He only has one interception on the year, so I like that. And then, yeah, I'm a big fan of Jam Miller as well, too. He did get rocked in that game. So I hope he's going to be okay. He just came back from injury not too long ago. So I hope he doesn't have to sit out. But yeah, I mean, both defenses are very, very good. So it was a nice little slugfest. I was having a lot of fun watching this. I think the one thing that really hurts Missouri is they only went 1 of 11 on third downs. So they left a lot of stuff on the field, and then getting back to kind of what you've been saying in our past couple of games, possession. Alabama had the ball for 38 minutes and 33 seconds compared to Missouri's 21 minutes and 27 seconds. So they were just kind of lining up, playing fuck you football and controlling the clock, which we love to see. So, Knock, you have any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I do. I think Eli Drinkwitz cost his team the game. Missouri was in it. It was late. It was fourth quarter. I think about 5, maybe 6 minutes to go. It's fourth down and one. They run a fake punt to the short side of the field, and
Mm-hmm.
it's genius if it works, right? But it didn't. Jackass. This is a game. Listen, Bo Prabula, you know, he showed his inexperience. I'm sorry. You know, I like the kid too. He's got that swag. He's a tough runner, like you guys said. Those two interceptions at the end of the game were awful. And Mike, you stated like maybe there was a miscommunication with him and the wide receiver. He took one step and just threw the ball. He didn't. There was no pressure in his face on that play. It was just one step. Maybe hit his drop back and just throws it without the wide receiver looking. Both interceptions were pretty bad at the end of the game, and they both cost their team. Both the head coach and the quarterback. If I'm going to be frank, I want to highlight somebody for Alabama that nobody's going to talk about, so I'm going to do it. Bray Hubbard, defensive back. Kid's a fucking beast. Excuse my language. He's a stud. All right. This guy's got multiple turnovers forced for Alabama during the year. Had one of those interceptions on both. I think it was the one to seal the deal, if I'm not mistaken. Guys, I want you to watch out for this kid, Bray Hubbard, coming in. Whenever he gets drafted, wherever he goes, when he becomes a pro, he's going to be a very good safety in the NFL. He does play corner. He's a hybrid defensive back, plays a little bit of slot, plays on the outside too. Bray Hubbard has been a huge, huge part as to why Alabama's defense has turned it up so much. I'm going to turn it over to Alabama's offense really quick. Ty Simpson, he's been phenomenal. I mean, there isn't a thing that I don't like about this kid. He makes every throw in the book, and they are beautiful. And you know what? Despite his only 200 yards through the air, on a 3rd and 13, he completes in the fourth quarter just an absolute dime on a corner route. I mean, it just puts it only where the wide receiver can get it because the defensive back is right there. I'm talking, this guy makes NFL money throws. This guy throws lasers, okay? Lasers. Ty Simpson's that guy. I'm a fan. I'm going to get a jersey.
Respect. I respect it. I like that. I like that breakdown. That was good. Yeah, Bama's defense, they got a lot of ball players. It's going to be interesting to see. I think Missouri could definitely bounce back. I don't know what I'm pulling up their schedule right now. They got a tough one. They got to go to Auburn, who hasn't really looked that good. They're at Vandy. I don't know how it's going to look. They got Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, and then the armpit of the SEC, Arkansas. So we shall see how that goes. But anyways, shout out Kalen DeBoer. He's winning Bama fans back one game at a time, which is nice to see. I think that they're finally, back to believing in him as well too. So another game that I wanted to talk about is USC in Michigan. Was, forgive me if I forgot to send this one over to you. Kind of escaped my mind until I saw it right now. But boy, Michigan, they let me down. They let me down for sure. I thought that they were going to march in there and take advantage, but that USC defense is a lot better, especially when they're playing at home and don't got to travel to the East Coast or the Midwest, which essentially is damn near every away game for them. So shout out to them. The receivers for Michigan looked pretty good, but that run game just couldn't really get going. It's like they abandoned it too soon. Bryce Underwood definitely looked like a true freshman that he is, but we'll see how he bounces back. Jaden Mayava had another great game. He did have one interception, but not too bad. The one thing though that really, really stood out to me, are you guys familiar with King Miller, the running back for USC?
Yeah.
This dude is a walk-on, and he ran for 158 yards and one touchdown against that Michigan defense, which never gets gashed like that. Never. A walk-on. If that kid didn't earn a scholarship after this game, I don't know what the hell else he has to do to get one from USC. He was the leading rusher. He only had 7 more carries than the next guy and had over 100 yards more than him. So shout out to him. That was awesome to see.
Yeah, to just be real quick on this, because I didn't watch this one that much, but it's USC's defense, man. We're talking about their offense. We're talking about King Miller, who I honestly didn't know he was a walk-on. That's crazy. 160 on
Yep.
Michigan and rushing on Michigan. Disrespectful. Michigan needs I'm not going to say anything. Michigan needs to reevaluate themselves. Let's put it that way. But their defense, again, we're talking about a Michigan team that doesn't really pass the ball much. They abandoned, like you said, the run game. I don't think that was it didn't make sense to do that, especially whenever that is your mantra. But that being said, Michigan usually always does have a great offensive line, and for this USC team who is not known to be to put pressure, to get 3 sacks on in that with a running is impressive. There's not really much else to say. Again, I didn't watch much of this, but to see bluntly, these West Coast teams, man. James Franklin wanted to make the excuses of wanting to have to go to the West Coast, and that's why they played poorly. These West Coast teams do this every other week, and they come in either they come in now. Obviously, this was a home game, but they come in and do it and put in work. Um, I just don't. I listen. As much as I have my loyalty to Penn State, I have my loyalty to East Coast teams. And when I see a West Coast team do better, it makes me mad. But that being said, it's the same revolving door. Possession, time of possession. They won the time of possessions. They were tied in the turnover game. But hey, whenever you control the ball for more than half the game, you're gonna win football games. And honestly, that's I can't say much more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I I don't want to sound like this guy, like a cocky prick, but that's kind of the mantra that I've taken on and the personality that I have. I knew Michigan had no shot going into USC. I'll just tell you why. They can't throw. They can't throw. I'm gonna highlight a few players for you. I'm gonna say some names, okay? Nico Collins, Roman Wilson, Donovan People-Jones, Devin Funchess, Braylon Edwards. Michigan has wide receivers. And for some reason, over the past several years, I mean, I guess Roman went, 2 years ago, but I mean, my goodness, they can't throw the football now. Andrew Marsh, 138 yards on 8 receptions against USC. He balled. He's got 248 yards receiving. So he had 90 yards going into the game. 90 yards. His team cannot and will not throw. Bryce Underwood has the potential to be as good as a shoelace Denard Robinson. He does. The kid's talented. I don't think he has the touch on his throws. He's a freshman. He's only played 5, 6 games. Oh, he can figure that out. Can we get Michigan some wide receivers, please? Michigan breeds wide receivers, whether we like to admit it or not. They're a running football team. They've always been more of a predominantly defensive running team with that one big physical dominant presence at the wide receiver spot that college corners cannot defend. And that's what they need to bring back. It's just that simple. If they want to get back to the Michigan football that we all know and love, get yourselves a wide receiver and do your freshman quarterback a favor. Gosh.
Yeah, I could definitely see them trying to make a splash. I mean, he is a true freshman, so they do have time to build. Why not try to go in there and play with, like we talked about, one of the best recruits that we've seen in a while, at least with the hype coming into it. But I think he'll get it under control. I do want to see them develop him a little bit more, but that's the only thing that scares me with Michigan is like they haven't really developed any quarterbacks in the last 10 years, I guess I should say, with some of the ones that they've had in there. So I just hope that they don't lead this kid down a path. But luckily for him, if he sees it going that way, we do have the transfer portal nowadays. You could save eligibility going within the fourth game, consider that a red shirt. So we'll see where that goes. I don't want to jump the gun again. He is, extremely young. So we'll see how that goes. Waz, to you talking about USC's defense, Knock, you talked about it a little bit. Devin Tompkins had a really, really good game. He had 2 sacks, 2 tackles for losses, and 4 total tackles. D tackle for USC kind of leads that front 4. So shout out to him. Shout out to USC. I just hope that they could keep it going. I feel like as soon as we start trying to build them up a little bit more, start thinking back, it's like they just come flat down on their faces and we're left with the same old USC that we've kind of been seeing year in and year out for the past couple of years. But we'll move on from this game. The next one that I want to talk about is one of my favorites from the weekend. Obviously, I'm a big homer. Pitt Panthers, baby. 34, Florida State, 31. Mason is a beast. You want to talk about a true freshman talent. We just talked about Bryce Underwood. Let's talk about the 3-star recruit out of Oregon, Ohio, who Pitt was his only power school offense, which is crazy. The the touchdown pass that he had in I believe, was it the second half to Desmond Reed, that crazy throw, run into his left. Knock, help me out here. You know what I'm talking about? Mason for Pitt, whenever he was running to his left through that crazy pass. I think it was the second half.
Yeah, bro. It was in the third quarter. Dude.
Third quarter.
And throws it right, jumping midair through 25 yards on a rope to his wide receiver in the back of the end zone. Nice. Beautiful.
Craziest thing that I saw from the weekend was that was not his first time doing that exact pass. His sister said, "I knew I seen this before," and put up a clip of him in high school doing the exact same pass, rolling to the left, the little jump, the little pass for a touchdown. Holy hell! Desmond Reed is a game changer. He's not the best running back in college football. I think he's top 3 for the most versatile and most important running back in college football. We've seen it with him being out. Pitt had a little bit of a downscale. He comes back and he runs for 155 or receives for 155 yards, excuse me. And one of the things that Pitt has on their side when they go in and they play against these Florida States and they play against these Miamis, they have a very, very solid pipeline in the South Florida area, more specifically Miami and Miami Gardens. A lot of these kids are 2 and 3 stars that they developed that Florida State and Miami passed on. And a lot of these guys were looking forward to this game, one including Desmond Reed and also including Jakyron Turner, the true freshman running back who had 2 touchdowns against them as well, too. So that was cool to see. One stat I have before I'll pass this off to you guys is Mason Heinchel already has as many games passing for over 300 yards as Drew Aller did against power conference teams. I leave it at that.
Yeah, Mason Heinchel, not just a great thrower of the football we're seeing, but the kid can run the ball as well. 16 carries, 16 for the freshman, 54 yards along of 30. Super, super impressive. Pitt's offense is completely different compared to what I watched when they played West Virginia in the backyard brawl. They look competent. They look like they know what they're doing. Yeah, Pitt's looking great right now. I'm rocking with it. You know, Penn State, West Virginia aside, I still root a little bit for the Western Pennsylvania programs, and Pitt's best in PA right now. So hats off to you guys. With that being said, Mike Norvell, you know what? You might have to go too, buddy. Because, like, dude, it's just like, how? Like, just how? I don't understand. You were, supposed to be great coming into the year. You started off so hot. Miami beats the crap out of you at home, and then you lose at home to Pitt. I mean, that's just as bad as what Penn State's been doing. I mean, not really, but it's pretty bad. You know what I mean? Especially when you go in and you beat Alabama to start the year. You think that after a 2-10 season, after going 11-0 the year prior, or whatever it was, 10-1. I thought Florida State was going to change, turn the tide. It didn't. So they've got some things that they need to fix over there. I had one other thing that I wanted to state, and it completely slipped my mind. So I'll let it go to you, bro. Like Pitt's it right now.
Yeah. Hey, listen, as Knox said, we are to the day I die, but I will have to say my bachelor's degree does says the University of Pittsburgh on it. So there is some
Hey.
there is some loyalty to seeing them succeed. And also, we're Western PA kids. I still root for the hometown whenever I can, man. I'm not that sipping the Kool-Aid Penn State fan that just can't appreciate good football happening around me. And you guys hit on the offensive end. Obviously, Mason has looked great. I got to watch this full game, and I was just impressed with Pitt offensively the entire time. However, that defense, those boys are hitting. And when you finish a game and you have 3 players that have double-digit tackles, you're breeding some dogs. Kavir, 13. Kyle Lewis, who I think he could be at the worst a 3rd-round pick, but I think he can go in the 2nd. He's a great linebacker, very versatile. And then Braylon Lovelace had 10 tackles as well. These boys are hitting and they love it. Like it is that culture and that mindset of we are going to punch you in the mouth, and when you get up, we're going to do it again. And I love that. I love that and you see that from the nose tackle. You see that from nose tackle all the way to the secondary. It is a Pitt team that embodies the city of Pittsburgh, man. Real blue collar, real, again, punch you in the mouth. And there's nothing I love whenever after we finished high school, I got to, just dedicate my college career to defense. So I have a crazy bias to defense. Man, do I love a defense that comes in and hits people in the mouth, man. And Pitt did that. Pitt did that to Florida State. In Florida State, love it. Love it for you guys.
Yeah, it was nice. And the one thing too, I'll say, I think before the year's over, I think Kyle Lewis will be looking at a first round projected, if not second, like you said as well too. I just think he makes so many big plays. He's always around the football. He's good in pass coverage. I think he could also play a little bit of like a hybrid safety mixed with linebacker at that next level. But the one thing that I really, really liked from Pitt, and again, I've been a Pitt fan my whole life, so there's a lot of times where Pitt will pit. So I thought this was going to be one of those games, but they took advantage of Florida State's injuries, more specifically on offense. I think going into the fourth quarter, I think Florida State only threw the ball 3 times because they were without their key tight end. They were without 3 wide receivers, and Pitt really wasn't giving them time to throw the ball. So they were trying to run, do some screens. Pitt kind of sniffed that out. They were stopping the run. They stopped the screens, and it kind of made life hard. So shout out to the Panthers, man. They look like they're getting back on the right track, especially with Mason. He's kind of giving them some new swag. Mike Norvell took a L on his birthday, which sucks for him, happy for us. It is going to be interesting what Florida State does moving forward. Right now, he is 36-30 as a coach at Florida State, and his conference record is 20-23. So I think that's well below the standards of Florida State, even though they're coming off that 2-10 season. So I think that's another thing that could have them, pretty much looking for a new coach here before or at the end of the year. Moving on to another game here, one last one that I kind of wanted to cover specifically, but shout out to Utah. They're bouncing back after their kind of deflating loss, I guess, against Texas Tech early in the season, but they were able to basically make life a living hell for Arizona State and their backup quarterback, Jeff Sims, who I completely forgot was still a collegiate football player. I mean, I remember this is going to be dating me a little bit as well too. I remember whenever he was at Georgia Tech and he was lighting up the Pitt Panthers in Pitt at Heinz Field and just making us look silly. But he's a 6-year senior. Doesn't mean shit. He couldn't do anything. So shout out to Utah Utes. I don't know if you guys watched that game at all, but they made life miserable. Their defense came out and was attacking. And Dampier is a damn good football player. He's so versatile. He's so fast, can throw the ball. I think Utah could keep stacking these wins. And the Big 12 is one of those conferences that just eats each other alive. They're like the new Pac-12, if we're thinking about it. As soon as you think a team is running away with it, other than Texas Tech, because they look so good right now, someone comes down and they grabs them by the ankle and they pull you right down with them. So I don't know if you guys have anything from this game.
The only thing I can say is, hey, they went against the grain. Only 23 minutes of time of possession, still busted Arizona State's ass. I love that. Love whenever a statistic is supposed to go in your favor and it doesn't. I love it. So I didn't watch much of the game, but I saw they had 5 sacks. As you said, backup quarterback, but the man's been in the man's been in college football as long as I've had a career outside of college. So I think he should. I think labeling him as a second string quarterback is a bit of a stretch at this point. She threw 18 for 38. Whereas again, there's just so many statistics that don't make sense. They only threw for 104 passing yards and busted their ass. Like it's. Shout out to Utah, man. I might have to start watching a Ute game or two, man.
Yeah, I didn't watch the game. I'll tell you why. Arizona State is primarily, even with Sam Levitt at the helm, if he was at the helm, they're still, thus far this year, primarily a running team with Kanye Udo, and there's something else in the backfield I can't just pinpoint off the top of my head. So I knew without their starting quarterback, that 9.5-point spread for Utah was just an absolute free bet. It was free if you took it. So, congratulations to the Utah Utes, Arizona State. I didn't really have anything to write home about for them. As far as that game goes, I will highlight the Big 12. It's my favorite conference. I love the Big 12. I love so many of the teams and the programs in the Big 12. I love that all offense, no defense. And it's always been like that. The Big 12 never really plays defense. What?
Besides Texas Tech this year.
Yeah, that's fine. That's, how many teams are in the Big 12? 20. So, whatever it is, they can't play defense. All right. Can I keep it in the Big 12 for a moment?
Absolutely.
I like Colorado, huh?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
they're at home and they upset Iowa State in the second half. I think they only held the Cyclones to 3 second half points.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa State was a ranked team, 22, undefeated coming into the season. So that is a major program victory for Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes. Shout out to you guys.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, man. Again, like I keep going to the time of possession. I love that. I love that stat. It's actually a big stat that I think, crazy enough, I think my mom told me always to look out for that stat in football. My mom's a big, great. If y'all know my mother, great,
Yeah.
great football mind that woman is. But she always told me that. So if I'm ever looking at a game real quick, it doesn't matter. You can show me. You don't even have to show me the box score. Just show me the time of possession. I'll tell you what happens. But I watched a few of the highlights there. It looks like Colorado found their quarterback. Hopefully they don't go and retire his number at the end of the season. But I like Caden Salter a lot. I think that they really put something together here against Iowa State, who came into here ranked. And you just always hear that you just always hear the BS when it comes to Deion Sanders in Colorado. So anytime he can come out and let them know that not only was he the greatest corner alive, but he's also a competent coach, I'll always hats out to Prime, man. Hats off to Prime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just so we're clear, you guys are Steeler fans. Rod Woodson was the better overall corner in the NFL. Statistics
overall, yeah.
I'm just saying.
Overall, because he could come down and hit.
He is the GOAT, but nobody gives Rod Woodson his flowers. Shout out.
Which is crazy because then he went and played safety and was a great safety as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we'll go. We'll go that far.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I do love Colorado coming out and fighting for their coach. I think he went under a surgery to remove some blood clots earlier in the week too. So they came out fighting strong. There was an egregious non-pass interference penalty that was called, and then the flag was picked up. The reason why I say that is because I want to go into another egregious officiating outing, I believe, with the Georgia and Auburn game. I don't know if you guys paid attention to that, but holy shit. I think what's his name? God, his name's getting past me. I listened to Ryan Russillo said it best at the end of the half in Auburn. I don't know if you guys were watching that crazy game. He tweeted out and said a spaceship could land in Auburn Stadium right now, and it would seem like everything's okay. It was just such an odd first half to where it looked like Auburn went up 17-0. I don't know if you guys saw that quarterback sneak. It looked like from the review that it was a touchdown. The ball might have been moving a little bit. Okay, so what? That's fine. Georgia gets it. There's only a couple minutes left. They basically got Georgia down the field in field goal position, but all off penalties. Georgia didn't do anything themselves. And then in the second half, the craziest thing I've ever seen with Kirby Smart running down the sideline, going like this, calling mouth and timeout. They give him the timeout, and then he goes, wait, I didn't call a timeout. I was clapping. And guess what the officials do? They get together and they give him the timeout back. Even if he wasn't clapping and they rewarded him a timeout, by rule, you cannot give him that timeout back. So I don't know what the hell voodoo magic or blackmail he has against these officials, but holy shit. I like Kirby Smart, but at this point, Georgia's very good. They're getting to that one of those teams that it's like, I can't fucking stand them. And him doing that and then crying wolf actually when he's calling a timeout pisses me off. And then going and looking in the rule book and seeing no matter if they meant to call a timeout and the official awards a timeout, it cannot be revoked. It must be a timeout. And they gave it back to him. I don't understand it. Hugh Freeze, you still lost the game. You suck at coaching. You're going to be fired as well too.
Yeah, as you're talking about this, I'm watching the video, and that's absolutely insane.
Crazy.
Holy shit. Listen, I gave Kirby Smart his flowers. I think being obviously this age is one of the greatest coaches in this age and this time. That's fucking bullshit. I didn't see it because I didn't watch that part. I'm watching. You quite literally see this, and then he's going to the ref and saying that he's clapping. Are you 6 years old? Come on, man. Nah, I'm sorry. Yeah. And I pulled up the very first video I saw on YouTube, and the title or the caption says, "This should 100% result in a fine." And the man it should maybe a little dramatic here, but if you're going to try and finesse the game like this, you should be suspended. That is absolutely disgusting. And whatever the refs are doing there, yeah, as a football fan, we all hate refs in general. Refs are the fucking worst. These guys can quite literally go fuck themselves. I don't want to see them in any SEC championship. I don't want to see them. I might not even want to see them in the Johnstown versus Westmont game that's happening. It's just that type of incompetency just pisses me off and ruins the game of football.
I'll jump in on that. I don't think the refs are incompetent. I think they're just bad people with no honor and no integrity. I'll just keep it at that. If you are a referee in Division I college, anything, professional, anything, you have no soul. I can't imagine that you care about your family very much. And stupid as that sounds, bro, it's the truth. Like they're horrible. Like they suck. Like everything, every sport. It's always ridiculous. Mike, I was reading just now what you had just texted me. That's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about Auburn for a brief moment. Holy hell, dude. I mean, this was supposed to be a team that had a stellar offense coming into the season. Their two best running backs combined for 59 yards. Okay, Jackson Arnold. I mean, when do you improve? When do we start to be like, oh yeah, this person's getting better after 3 seasons? Like, is it's like just not working? Like this kid's terrible. You know, we come down on guys like Drew Allar. Jackson Arnold, my goodness, you're a dual threat quarterback and you can't throw for 150 yards passing. And it's every single game. He's got Eric Singleton. He's got Cam Coleman. Cam Coleman's 6'3", 200 pounds. Like that's a wide receiver. You know, if I'm in the ballpark, that's not exact, but yo, come on now. At some point, something's got to give. I'm tired of this. Is college football. Why are so many offenses looking so mediocre every single week? How do we not have it together? You know what? It starts with this. Stop throwing the ball at or behind the line of scrimmage. When football stops doing that, offenses will become explosive again. They're not explosive. Auburn's supposed to be a good team. They held Georgia in the first half and didn't score a point. Not even a field goal. You didn't cross midfield. It drives me nuts. It drives me so nuts. I'm sorry I'm screaming, guys. It just
No, you're good.
I hear you.
Yeah, you're good. It is frustrating. I do think that a lot of teams now, especially more specifically offenses, are relying on RPOs and throws behind the line of scrimmage and aren't taking the time to develop guys into pure passers and are just relying on more of like a dual threat guy that could run the ball, get themselves out of trouble. Another guy that you mentioned with Eric Singleton. Another case is the grass greener. I mean, he leaves Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech just moves to 6-0, and he's on a winless SEC team, or a winless conference SEC team, I guess I should say, and one that's probably going to have their coach fired. So he is a junior. He still has some more time to come back. It's going to be interesting to see. If you guys have anything else from this game?
I didn't watch this one. Nope.
Okay, I have another one. I don't know if you guys watched this, but we're sticking with the theme here of shitty officiating. Did you guys watch the LSU and South Carolina game?
Mm-mm.
If not, I'm going to explain it. It's going to be better to see with video. I'm putting this and the Auburn one also is in my winners and losers that I'll be releasing later after this. But obviously LSU beat South Carolina, but during the game in the third quarter, I'm sitting there and I'm watching. All right, it's 4th and 5. South Carolina has the ball at their own 40-yard line. They come out in a weird, funky punt position. It's 4th and 5. Okay, they're only down 7. They run the perfect executed fake punt where the punter throws it to the guy. He's taken off. All of a sudden, the whistles blow. All of a sudden, we're sitting here thinking, what the hell's going on? Shane Beamer's saying this. They're saying illegal motion. I forget what they said. Here, it turns out in the press conference afterwards, Shane Beamer says that they come up to him and tell him that the ball was not ready and they were not set. And I've only been alive 31 years. I've played the game, watched the game for about, 21 of those, maybe a little bit more. And he says, in my 21 years of coaching, I have never seen it where you have the back judge that is already behind the punter. You have both line judges at their line. You have the back umpire back where he's at, and no one is over the ball with a hand up doing this. Everybody singles and at the snap's ready to go, and all of a sudden they blow it dead and they cancel out what would have been a first down and a continuing drive for South Carolina, and it just blows my ever-loving mind. And you watch it, there is no referee signaling anything that there doesn't need to be a snap. I don't understand what the hell came in. If someone signaled down, you got to let the game play on. It's just more incompetence and just degeneracy, I guess, in a sense, from these officials. And it just makes me see red. I just don't understand it. That's the second time this year that South Carolina has had a play blown dead during the play where they would have had a big play to move momentum onto their side. And both of those games resulted in losses.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I was looking it up, trying to look it up whenever you were talking about it, and I didn't find anything. But it goes to show, one, obviously, like I said, we have had decades at this point of horrible experiences with refs with our favorite teams, or hell, even on the personal level. You know what I mean? Like, to little quick anecdote. Remember we played Bishop Carroll? I got held for the entire second half. They didn't call it one time. I was livid. That probably is the origin story of why I hate refs personally. Anyway, but the one thing that I will say that I do like is in the ACC, they're doing you hear everything that's happening in a challenge call or something like that. That sort of transparency isn't going to fix everything, no, but I think you're going to be able to take the right steps, or I'm sorry, the correct steps to. No one's ever going to like the refs. There's always going to be some sort of beef between fan, ref, player, ref. But I think you have the opportunity to make it come a little closer if you add that level of transparency. I love that idea with that the ACC does. They call a challenge and you can hear New York or whoever is doing the reviewing it, and you hear how them talking. Now, is it all choreographed? They obviously know they're being talked about, or they're talking on live broadcast, so are they saying the same things that they normally would say? Who knows? But I think that is the right step to take in this level of transparency. But at the end of the day, it is and always will be fuck the refs.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. By the way, was I love that that I can hear the ACC officials during a challenge. I was saying that to Mike when we got together last time in person. It just holds them accountable.
Mm-hmm.
I'll switch it to the NFL just for no reason here. Like, I'm a Colts fan, and we have our new owner on the sideline, and she's on the sideline with an earpiece. Well, she's listening to all the plays that are being called and what's going into the huddle. That's gonna have people, perking up their tits a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So I like that the ACC does that. I actually think that college football and the NFL should adopt that completely. I don't know if that's like a trial thing, but I think that should just be indoctrinated into the entire sport.
I agree.
Yeah, I think so too, because I'm sick of Mike Pereira coming on there and being like, well, what you have here is, well, shut the hell up. I would love for these announcers or the ACC guys when they get on there just to be real one time and be like, I have no fucking clue. I have no fucking clue, because that's how it goes sometimes.
I'm throwing my arms up. I have no fucking clue.
To be honest with you here.
Funny? You know what's funny is Mike Pereira will come on and then they'll have a completely opposite. And then he has to try and backtrack as to, well, this is maybe what they saw. No, you just have refs that are absolutely horrible. And you being the VP of this whole organization, I'm going to be honest. I remember watching Mike Pereira earlier in our childhood. And I remember my mother hating that man's guts as well. He was bad. I don't know. It's unless you're a Hockley, you are a bad ref. And the only reason Hockley's a good ref is because he works out, and I respect him.
Yeah, right.
And not as a bad ref. It's funny you say that. Back in 06 versus Denver, I mean, Denver's Chargers, there was a horrible call where Jay Cutler fumbles the ball, doesn't go forward, comes straight out of his hand, doesn't go forward. He calls it an incomplete pass. Whatever, man. Refs have all bad. They've always controlled the game. Like you said about your mother, my father always told me, listen, the refs control this. Why even watch? Because I love it. That's why. And I love that the refs calls me every single week.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is wild. I mean, it does stem back a while. I think the original story for me was just with you saying it's probably whenever Jerome Bettis, what do you call heads? And they said, you called tails. You called tails. And you could hear him clear as day say that he called the opposite of what it would have been. So, fuck the refs. We're not fans of it. We try to make sure that we call them out weekly on here. So if you're new, make sure you keep tuning in to hear that if you like bashing the refs. But besides that, I mean, Notre Dame had a great showing, 36-7. They beat North Carolina State. BYU escaped in double overtime against Arizona. That was a great game to watch, to kind of pull off the nightcap. I tried to stay up for Utah State and Hawaii, but I'm old now, and I only was able to catch that first quarter, and then I had to hit the snoozer. But yeah, any other games you guys wanted to go over briefly? Anything like that? Any shout outs?
Um, I think we covered most of them, but you did bring up Georgia Tech, and I think Georgia Tech is always that. I won't say dark horse because I think Pitt kind of takes that dark horse type of role in the ACC, but Georgia Tech is always that team that you can never like. You got to respect Georgia Tech. You know what I mean? Like people, I don't think they're never going to be as flashy as Clemson. They're never going to be as flashy as Florida State, but Georgia Tech plays ball. And like you said, they are 3-0 in the ACC right now. They're 6-0 total, haven't lost. So I like Haynes last year. I like him this year. I think that they are a great team. Now again, actually he has the highest QBR that we've talked about for this whole recap at 93. So I think that he played a very good and wholesome game. But you have to look at Malachi and say that the man put 130 up in a tutty. Now Virginia Tech is 2-5, but again, let's not sit here and year in and year out, Georgia Tech will always come in and beat the shit out of almost like they make a game out of every game they play, but they will beat the shit out of a team you thought was supposed to be a close game. So don't sleep on Georgia Tech, man. I like Georgia Tech.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, Georgia Tech is just they'll line up and just punch you right in the mouth. I mean, they love running the ball. You could see it, 268 yards. Hayes King is definitely a quarterback that I love to just not even really throw the ball, honestly, just run through someone's face. He doesn't shy
Hmm.
away from it. So that was cool to see. Knock, what about you? Got any ones that you wanted to shout out?
Shout out the Iowa Hawkeyes, man. 89 points in the last two games. They struggled to score 89 points the last two seasons. Their offense was absolutely abysmal, but they are starting to find themselves a 37 nothing win on the road in Wisconsin. Enter Sandman, my or no. What's jump around? Jump
Jump
around
around.
my ass. They jump anywhere. More so like jumping off the line of scrimmage. Wisconsin's quarterback is awful. I watched him throw two interceptions to defensive linemen. I kid you not. A defensive lineman, imagine catching an interception on an out route as a DB. I watched him do that to a defensive end. He let a defensive end do that to him. Wisconsin's horrible. I was looking up. Mark Gronowski looks good. They're mixing the run game. And I was always going to have a stout defense. They're at home versus Penn State next week. I know who I like to cover the -3.5. Iowa.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm right with you, man. I'm
I
right
like
with
that.
you. This is gonna be a scary Saturday for me. So if you're looking for me, don't. I might be in the Monongahela.
Well, we'll make sure we have some prayers out to you for that. Couple of things too before we wrap up. We did talk about James Franklin obviously getting shit canned, but there were two other coaches as well too. So Trent Bray was fired at Oregon State. Sucks. He was an alumni, played football there, so they thought that maybe he was going to bring them back to what they once were. But I think they're 0-6 right now on the season. And then Trent Dilfer was also fired from UAB. So we got a couple of coach openings right now with Penn State, UAB, Oregon State, Virginia Tech, and I feel like there was one other coach that was fired as well too early on into the season, and it's escaping me for some reason. But say la vie, it is what it is. But no, that's all I really have. Shout out to Edinburgh. They actually upset Cal U this past weekend. It was a very low scoring game. Cal U, what a fall from grace. They upset Slippery Rock. They lose two in a row, and now they're out of the top 25 rankings. Slippery Rock is back into the rankings after a crushing win against Seton Hall, but it looks like Kutztown is going to be the team running away with the PSAC. And then also shout out to Ferris State. I have them in my winners and losers as well too. We obviously know about them a little bit because of Trinidad Chambliss, but they lost their first game last year to Pittsburgh State, and they have since won 20 in a row, including a national championship last year. So they have, I believe, the longest winning streak out of every collegiate division that there is out there. So shout out to Ferris State. They're averaging over 550 yards of offense per game this season. So they're a powerhouse. They're nothing to be fucked with.
And I think you were thinking of Mike Gundy.
Mike Gundy, yes, Oklahoma State. Yeah, I don't know why I forgot about
Mm,
him, but poor Mike and his mullet. He's was shown the
out of
exit
there.
door a little bit early. But yeah, besides that, anything else that you guys want to end on, fellas?
No, man. Nah, I'll shout out my Division three alma mater, Grove City College. Man,
Mm-hmm.
they haven't been great in about 15 years. I'm pretty sure they have the last 3 years they've gone to the Division three college playoffs. So
Mm.
shout out to Grove City College, man. Them Wolverines is balling.
Yeah, I want to talk about something real quick, Mike. With guys like Bray and Trent Dilfer getting fired, this is for Ryan Clark if he ever sees this. Because you played the game doesn't mean you can coach or teach the game to other people. It's very true. It's very true. That's why the greatest head coaches in all their respective sports, for the most part, didn't play pro. You know what I mean? So Pete Carroll didn't play pro. Nick Saban wasn't a great collegiate athlete. Bill Belichick. I mean, the best coaches didn't play. They sat and observed the game. I'm sure they played at some point. You know what I mean?
Collegiately, I'm sure.
Or you know what I mean? But Nick Sirianni went to Wisconsin Whitewater. You know what I mean? That kind of deal. So you don't need to be a professional athlete or Mount Union. One of the two, Mount Union.
Yeah, with the Mount Union.
Mm-hmm.
Every time, and I know when I'm wrong. But just because you can coach doesn't or play the game doesn't mean you can coach the game. And I want to end it off like this. Boy, how does losing 6-1 to the Rangers sound to both of you? Yeah.
It's okay. This is supposed to be. This is
That's all
supposed to
right.
be. It's the Penguins' down years right now. It's
You
the
beat a
glory years for you
geriatric
guys.
team. You beat a geriatric team, and you had to take their coach to do
Yeah.
it.
No, I gave him some shit for us beating him on opening night, but
Yeah.
we're not expecting anything too crazy
Mm-mm.
from this year for the next couple of years. We're just blessed that we get to see the
Hey,
greatest hockey player of all
of
time
all
play.
time.
I believe he has more Stanley Cups than your franchise,
Nice.
if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Now you
So
have to wait. I have to think about it. I think you're right, actually, now that we think about it.
But I like that take, knock, not just because you played the game professionally does not mean that you could coach. I
100%.
thought that a little bit whenever Trent Dilfer got fired. And then I love Roddy White, love him, great player. He quoted it and said, "I want the job." It's like, brother, have you coached anywhere? Do you have some experience? I know you
Yeah.
played, but would that be more of just like a let's hire Roddy because he went
Mm-hmm.
here and it'll sell tickets,
Now
But
let's.
I don't know. Shout out Eddie George though. Eddie George is
And
turning
I was
around
about to
Bowling
say,
Green.
and give respect to Mike Vick and Deshaun Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually they're balling out. We actually had to cover Norfolk State the week one game. So
Mm,
shout out them. They're not they're not making headways. They're not going for any championships, but
yeah.
hey, they're there.
Absolutely. And also shout out Carson Palmer. I don't remember the school that he coaches, the name Santa Vista, Sant something. I don't know, something out in California, but he knocked off, I believe, his alma mater in
Mm.
modern day in a low scoring game, 7-6. But shout out to him. It was like his first big win as a high school coach out there. So maybe, you never know. Maybe he'll climb the college ranks. But
Mm-hmm.
there are some great games on this weekend. I'm looking at the slate right now. Ole Miss and Georgia's really sticking out to me for the first game that I see here. Texas Tech traveling to Arizona State, and I think a little bit of a tricky one, but it'll be nice to see if they could bounce back. Oregon got to travel across country to New Jersey to take on Rutgers, so that'll be interesting. And fellas, we have Tuesday night football tonight, so if you don't got nothing planned, tune in for New
Mm-hmm.
Mexico State versus
Mm-hmm.
Liberty, Arkansas State versus South Alabama, and the Pitbull University, Florida International versus Western Kentucky. Shout out Western Kentucky, some of the best uniforms and helmets in the country.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I'm excited to see LSU Vandy too. LSU
Yeah,
Vandy's gonna be a good one on Saturday.
definitely. Well, you guys all good here?
We're all good.
Knock, you got anything else? All good. Waz, we really appreciate you for jumping on here too, man. Make sure you go give him a follow. I know your Instagram is J Wilson Productions, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, so give him a follow there. Hopefully we'll be doing some more stuff in the future with you as well too. Knock,
Absolutely.
anything you want to lead us off with?
Man, we appreciate you hopping on here, bro. I mean, we all know each other on a personal level, but this is
Mhm.
really cool and really fun. And like, I don't, I know for Mike, this is, you come back and do this with us anytime, bro.
Hey man, I love it. I love it. I love you guys, man. It was great. Appreciate y'all having me here. Y'all are building something real awesome here, and I just want to see it blossom. Y'all know I'll be watching them, especially if
Sir.
I'm on there, but I'll watch them if I'm not as well.
Hell yeah, man. Well, we love you too. And shout out to everybody who's always tuning in, showing some support. Make sure you interact. That's the biggest thing. We want to make sure you guys feel embraced, and we do see it, and we really appreciate it. Make sure you follow us on all platforms at Sports with Skiz, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, YouTube. Subscribe to us, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.